There was a time in my life when I couldn't walk on grass. I couldn't be around trees, couldn't tolerate most foods, and even the air around me felt like a threat. And what's even more important is when it all started.
Your body has been speaking to you your entire life, and learning how to listen changes everything. This is the Underlying Answers podcast. It's time to restore the design.
This didn't begin in adulthood. It started when I was 15 years old. Around the same time my body was going through a major shift. I had started my menstrual cycle, and almost immediately, my body began reacting to everything. But it didn't just show up internally. It showed up all over my body. Severe rashes, visible reactions, itchy skin, things I just couldn't hide. And at that age, that kind of experience, it hits a little differently because you're not just dealing with what's happening physically, you're also navigating how it feels to be seen that way. At 15, you don't have the language for that. You don't understand what's happening in your body. You just know something feels very wrong. And from the outside, it looks like allergies, reactions to medications, to materials, to environments, to chemicals and foods. But inside, it felt like something much deeper was happening. So I did what most people do. I looked for answers outside of me. I went everywhere, trying to understand what I was reacting to, trying to avoid triggers, trying to manage what felt unpredictable. And life didn't slow down over the years. I experienced loss, losing my dad at age 24. Later, I became a single mom. No child support, pressure to provide, responsibility, stress, survival. Later on, I lost a job that was important to me. All these are layered on top of a body that was already struggling. And over time, those reactions didn't just stay the same. They intensified along with the stress. More foods became a problem. More environments felt unsafe. More reactions showed up that I just couldn't explain, and neither could my doctors. And slowly, my world started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The places I could go, the things I could do, even simple everyday experiences started to feel out of reach. And for years, I kept going, managing, adjusting, pushing through in the ways I could, but my body was keeping track of everything. And then at 48, my body reached a point where it couldn't keep up anymore. I went water skiing with my family, the love of our life, the very thing we loved to do and did pretty often, something that should have been absolutely normal, and I ended up in the hospital. Severe anaphylaxis of the skin from the water, and I actually never fully recovered from that moment on. Over the next 8 months, I could feel my body starting to shut down, my energy, my capacity, everything was declining. I couldn't leave the house, made my husband take off his clothes before coming in from work. We moved, got rid of carpets, the drapes around us. Smaller and smaller and smaller my life became. And physically, my labs came back at dangerous levels. My liver enzymes were extremely elevated, and I was told that I had the liver of an end-stage alcoholic. How could that be? Because I didn't drink. I was actually allergic to alcohol. So how is that possible? And then something happened that changed everything. Within 1 day of each other, I had 2 separate appointments, one with a healer and one with a functional doctor. And both of them told me the same thing, that this wasn't random, that this was connected to the traumas I had experienced throughout my life at age 6, at 14, at 15, and that my body had been responding all along. And in that moment, everything started to make sense for me. Not all at once, took some time, but in a way that shifted how I saw everything. Because for the first time, I wasn't looking at my body as the problem. I was starting to see it as something that had been trying to communicate with me all these years. And as I began to pay attention, I started to see the patterns between stress and reactions, patterns between life experiences and physical symptoms, patterns that had been there for years, but I didn't know how to read. And the more I started to understand those patterns, the more things began to shift. Not overnight, not all at once. That would have been nice, but that's not the reality. But in a way that felt very real, very true, and very honest. Like my body was starting to respond differently. Like it was no longer working against me, but it was actually trying to guide me. And over time, my world started to open back up. The things that once felt impossible started to feel available again. And now I get to experience life in ways that once felt completely out of reach. Not because I forced it, but because something deeper changed. And what I came to understand is that my body was never the problem. It was the messenger. My symptoms were trying to tell me something all along. My body was responding, adapting, communicating based on everything that it had been through. And when I began to understand that, I also began to see something much bigger. That healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's not about getting rid of the symptoms or trying to understand and manage every symptom I had. It's about restoring what was already there, restoring the way the body was designed to function, to communicate, and to guide you, restoring the design. So if you've ever felt like your body is working against you, like it's unpredictable or confusing or limiting your life, I want you to hear this clearly. Your body is not working against you. It's responding to something. And when you understand what that is, everything can begin to change. That's why I created this podcast, because no one should feel trapped in their body, especially when the answers are already within you. And as you move through your day, just begin to notice what your body might already be trying to show you.